Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. The shocking truth about Young and Restless murder mystery. Plus, the big question no one has asked: Young and Restless mega murder mystery has Kane's guests unraveling left, right and center, but it's the viewers that may come completely apart when the truth behind Damien's death and the investigation is revealed. Is Damien really dead? Who's the killer? What's the endgame? And what's the one big question no one has asked? One theory behind Damien's murder is that he's still alive and was merely given something to drink to make him appear to be dead long enough to convince everyone. This supposes that Kane is behind the charade and is essentially playing a giant game of Clue with his guests to keep them trapped and distracted so that he can pull off a grand takeover of Genoa City in the meantime. It's a viable take on what's happening, except that, as Phyllis pointed out, Kane appeared genuinely shaken by Damien's death. This means that either he's an Oscar-worthy acting talent or someone else is behind the goings-on. It's possible that the staff have gone rogue. Read our theory that, spoiler, is the killer here. But the truth might be even more shocking. There's only one other person that could pull off a murder mystery of this magnitude, and he just happens to be on the estate. It's Victor Newman, of course. It's interesting that mere days before all this went down, Victor, after an exploratory chat with Kane, told his family that they'd been playing by Ashby's rules the entire time, and cryptically mused, "Let's see how he does when he starts playing my game." Not long after Victor uttered those words, Damien was downed by a dagger and all fingers began pointing to Kane as the killer. He looks even guiltier now that it appears he's trying to frame Nick. But if Victor's behind this, why would he involve his son in this manner? Nick could be in on it, or not. Victor's methods aren't always palatable, but one thing you can count on is that he's always playing chess while others are playing checkers. Or in this case, 4D chess. And, if true, he's definitely 10 moves ahead of Kane. One big, burning question we have, however, is what, exactly, made Kane think someone was out to kill him? The story keeps dancing around this bit, and we need answers. Did he receive a death threat? Was it before or after he composed his guest list? Who does he believe wants to kill him? What does he think their motive would be? Wouldn't this be the first thing Chance would ask? Or any of the guests for that matter? Other head-scratchers include none of the guests being terrified that a killer is in their midst, and Lily believing Kane has become a killer. Make it make sense. Do you think Young and Restless Damien is really dead? Vote. It started the way these things always do in Genoa City, with a party. Or rather, with the illusion of peace. Aristotle Dumas' opulent mansion had hosted its fair share of glittering galas, but the one he held this time had a darker energy, a tension crackling just beneath the surface. Everyone was there, Victor and Nikki, keeping a hawk-like watch over every guest. Devon and Abby, trying desperately to avoid the unraveling threads of Chancellor Winters and their personal lives. Adam, sulking on the periphery with Sally, who was clearly still too distracted by Nick's looming presence. And then there was Damien. Yes? Damien, new to viewers but instantly divisive among Genoa City's residents, the brooding, evasive, dangerously magnetic man with a shady backstory and even darker eyes had quickly become the figure of whispers and wild theories. Was he tied to Tucker? Was he a pawn of Dumas, or perhaps Dumas' master? Either way, by the time the hors d'oeuvres had made it to the terrace, someone at the party was already planning Damien's demise, and maybe, just maybe, it wasn't who we thought. Act 2, Clues in Champagne and Blood. What Young and Restless has done masterfully with this storyline isn't just dropping a murder into our laps, it's building a spiderweb, so intricate that even the audience isn't quite sure where the center lies. Every character is being manipulated, misled, or maneuvering someone else. Even Damien, who was allegedly just passing through town. Let's take a moment to highlight the timeline here. Damien appeared, seemingly by accident, at Chancellor Winters with a business proposal. He immediately took interest in Audra and Phyllis, two women who rarely find themselves interested in the same man. That he was last seen arguing on the veranda with Lily, not more than 30 minutes before screams echoed from the west wing of the estate, and here's where things get seriously twisted. No body was initially found. Just blood. A lot of it, the suggestion was clear, someone wanted it to look like a murder. But no murder weapon was found. No broken glass. No torn clothing. Just the symbolic smear of violence across marble floors. And a silk handkerchief with Victor Newman's monogram tucked beneath the stairwell. Now, we ask you, is Victor sloppy? Ever? Of course not. So why was it there? Act 3, the suspects you know, and the one you don't. It's easy to point fingers at the usual suspects. Phyllis, who literally faked her own death not that long ago, and who was seen whispering to Damien in an earlier episode. Adam, who seemed oddly eager to just leave the party right before the screams. Nate, who's become increasingly desperate now that Elena has returned, breathing new fire into a romantic triangle that refuses to die. But let's talk about someone else for a second. Lily. Yes, that Lily. The composed, collected, almost too perfect CEO who has been slowly unraveling since Daniel's betrayal and Billy's resurgence into her orbit. When Damien showed up with his smug confidence and too many answers about Chancellor Winter's finances, Lily's polished demeanor began to crack. What if the kiss she almost shared with him wasn't flirtation, but manipulation? What if Damien knew something about Neil? And what if Lily, just for a moment, lost control? We saw her leave the party alone, needing air. We saw her eyes, wild and confused. And we saw her gloves, return to her purse shortly after the incident. Why gloves, Lily? Why then? Act 4. The victor of it all. No murder mystery in Genoa City can unfold without Victor Newman being 3 steps ahead. But this time, Victor may have found his match, not in the alleged killer, but in whoever orchestrated the entire situation. Let's unpack what Nikki told Lauren in passing. Victor's toying with someone who could pull a trigger without blinking. And that wasn't metaphorical. Nikki knows something. Nikki suspects someone, and here's the kicker, it might be someone in their own family. Rumblings from behind the scenes suggest that Josh Griffith, the head writer, is playing a long game. One where the killer isn't just guilty of murder but of deception at the highest level. There's talk of a twist involving Claire. Yes, sweet, rehabilitated Claire. She's been reintegrating with the Newmans, but what if her past, her mother's manipulations and her own time in isolation, left her with more scars than anyone knew? Was Damien blackmailing her? Was he part of Jordan's plan all along? Is Claire the unknowing weapon? Act 5. The return no one saw coming. Here's where things get explosive. The big question that no one, not Nick, not Sharon, not even Chance, has asked, what if Damien isn't dead? What if he faked the whole thing? Think about it. The bloody scene with no body. The conveniently placed evidence. The camera system suddenly malfunctioning. And most damning of all? The sudden interest the FBI has in Chancellor Winter's overseas partnerships Damien introduced. Could he be an undercover agent, or worse, could he be working with Dumas to orchestrate a fall guy? The stage has been set for a reveal unlike any other. One that will blow up more than just a few relationships, it'll implode entire families, and who's poised to benefit most from that kind of implosion? Audra Charles. She's the sleeper threat. The shadow strategist. And if she's behind this, the repercussions could make Diane's supposed murder trial look like a parking ticket. Act 6. The questions that need answering. So where does this leave us? Well, with a lot of unanswered questions, but let's ask the most important one, the one that hasn't yet surfaced on screen. Why now? Why was Damien killed now? Why? Just as Victor was pulling strings to get control of Jabot's distribution network? Why? Just as Claire was making amends with Victoria? Why? Just as Sally's next move, professional or romantic, might determine the fate of her future? And why? Just as Chance was starting to reevaluate his relationship with Summer, every domino is falling at the exact right moment. And someone planned it. Who that someone is? Aristotle, Claire, Audra, or even an old foe yet unseen, Ian Ward, remains to be seen. But the writing is clear, this murder mystery isn't about just one death. It's about legacy. It's about empire. And it's about who lives long enough to claim the power left in the wake of Damien's apparent demise. Final act. The storm is just beginning as we prepare for what the next episodes will inevitably unleash: interrogations, heartbreak, and betrayal. We'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge just how cleverly The Young and the Restless is playing with its own formula. This isn't just a whodunit. It's a whydunit, and the answer may not come with handcuffs or a confession. It may come with something far more devastating, the truth, because once the truth comes out, it's not just one life that could be ruined, it's several. So buckle in, Genoa City fans. This isn't just a murder mystery. It's a reckoning.